Hey,
Hey Joe,
how you doing today, buddy?
I am good, man. Doing well, doing well.
Good.
We'll talk about it. I'll talk about it in a minute, but fully extracted from Danielle Sifu in Wonderland today, so that's a good thing.
Oh, you did the rebate thing or the
I did the rage
rage
quit.
quit?
Yeah, yeah, but we'll talk about it a little bit because they decided to throw a little surprise in there at the last minute. So
I saw something. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that from you. I
yeah,
saw
it's
that three-letter word there.
yeah. So one of the first interviews I did was Maki from
Yeah.
Sushi Swap, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
actually the one that's been the hook to get me all the other later interviews, right? I just keep building on them. And it was announced today that he's running business development for Layer Zero Labs. And I haven't, this came out a couple hours ago, but I haven't taken a fully deep dive into this. But it looks like this is a protocol that's taking the next step for us into kind of the omni-chain, multi-chain, seamless cross-chain future. And that's the idea behind it. So they're launching on, I can't believe how many chains, I can't remember how many chains he said, but they are currently launching on multiple protocols, and somehow or another, it sounds like they're incorporating um, multiple other bridges into their solution. So they're actually like partnering with existing bridges, but non-wrapped assets, which is what people say is a security concern, having wrapped assets, EVM and non-EVM support, one unified layer of liquidity, decentralized without compromising UX, and Oracle agnostic, but they will have Chainlink support. So it sounds like the holy grail of cross-chain, multi-chain, but we'll have to see whether it lives up to the promise. But for somebody like Maki to put his name on it, I have to believe the tech looks pretty good. So we'll see what they come up with. But it sounds like it'll be available at a protocol level. Oh, here's the first chains: Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, BNB, Phantom, Arbitrum, and Optimism.
All the big
So
ones, basically. Yeah.
yeah,
Did I
yeah,
see
hitting all the big
Solana?
ones.
Did you have
No
Sol?
Solana yet.
Yeah. Okay.
No Solana. And I'm assuming that's because it's not EVM compatible.
Yeah.
They're probably starting with EVM and then they'll move into their claim of doing non-EVM. So, and it supposedly allows you to do like a series of complex transactions all at once, and where you're exchanging token on one chain for another chain and multiple tokens on that chain and whatever. But anyway, I'm going to read through the documentation and learn a little bit more about it. But um, Stargate, a farewell to bridges. I guess they're saying that they're basically killing bridges because, and it's called Stargate. It's by Layer Zero
Oh yeah.
Labs, but the protocol is called Stargate, and they're going to start liquidity provisioning on Thursday. So they're actually doing an auction. Looks like there'll be a token there.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I've heard
Well,
this talked
I
about in
need
the
to. I
past.
need
Yeah.
to. Yeah, I need to dive into it a bit deeper before I make any, comments or judgments on it. But I'm just happy to see people working on it. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sort of reminds me of like a kind of a Cosmos Redux in a way because it seems like everybody's going
Right.
to the layer zero concept as a way to sort of not have to bridge amongst chains. And I had heard good things about Stargate. Somebody in the past was talking about it. So I think the fact that Maki's there, like you said, um, you know, I can't remember how it all ended at Sushi Swap for him, but I seem to remember that there was a he was the big driver, but then didn't they bring in the business dude or something like that? I can't remember who that guy's
Well,
name
so
was.
he was the guy that basically saved the project when the original developer tried to rug it, right? He
That's
decided he
right.
couldn't take the pressure and he tried to bail. And Maki knew him, had been working with the team, but he was basically a community guy that you know helped out. And my episode with him, he goes into a lot of kind of that history.
Hmm.
Um, and then he convinced the guy to return the money. So he returned the money, And then he basically the developer left anyway, and then Maki basically took over the whole project, and he ran it up until last year, when I'm sure he was more than burned out at that point, and bailed, decided to retire. And then oh god, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Anyway, experienced developer with a long background in Ethereum took over. It'll come to me as we're talking, and took over. And then he got into the whole mess of, he wanted a hierarchy with Sushi Swap, and the community got pissed at him and didn't like him, and some of the developers didn't like him because he was trying to, get them to do kind of regimented development processes, et cetera, where everything prior had been really seat of the pants. And then so he got booted. And then we basically had the whole big mess that happened at Sushi, which I think they're starting to recover from now. But anyway, I have a lot of respect for Maki. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a strong kind of product guy, strategy guy, and obviously his connections from Sushi Swap, it really makes him a good guy to do biz dev for them, because he knows everybody in the industry.
Yeah.
So if anybody was going to have an opportunity to succeed, it's probably him.
Yeah, no,
So
I think it's a good play. And sushi's at what, like $3 and something right now?
I haven't looked lately, Joe. Let me look.
It's at 132. 285. $2.85.
You were close. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's the chart look like? We're at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, look, I've bought this a couple of times around this range and sold somewhere around $10 a couple times. So, I'd keep an eye on this. March 13th. Yeah, the all-time high was 23.38. TVL is still almost $4 billion.
Yeah.
I don't get why it's so low, other than everything's low. And the
I think they're just, right now, they're suffering between the leadership change at the top and all the controversy that happened, and the overall market shit.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's quite sure yet what's going on with the project, like the management parts of it. So I think that's keeping them, I think that's keeping them out of the game right now. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Wonderland a little bit.
Yeah, tell us about that.
If we didn't have Wonderland, we wouldn't have any fun. Well, we're not going to have Wonderland to kick around anymore, Joe.
Yeah, well.
So
I'm kind of tired of it anyhow. It's like
so for those playing at home, here's the kind of sequence of events that occurred recently. So everyone knows the whole crap with the Sifu being discovered, and the buyback system not working because they didn't put enough money in it, and the dumps after dumps, and the cascading liquidations, all of that occurred, right? And then Danielle kind of flapped around like a chicken for a week and was screaming and raging and going crazy and freaking out on everybody, and the community was pissed off, and he didn't like the fact that all the true, the supposed members of the cult were freaking out, the frogs. And so they decided, after a couple of stops and starts, we had the vote to get rid of Sifu, and then they had a vote over the last 12 days to allow for rage quit. So the idea was that if you held WMMO, you could get some proportional amount of the treasury from the project by turning in and swapping your WMMO. That passed overwhelmingly. And then you had to go through another step to whitelist your wallet for the swap, right? So that was open for another 4 days. One of them was 8 days, one of them was 4 days, the vote period. So you had to go in and make your wallet whitelisted. Well, at no time did Danielle or anybody on the team say that there was going to be any kind of tax on this thing, right? So yesterday, they opened up the swap, and announced that there was going to be a 10% tax on anybody doing the swap. So the swap was priced at about $38,000, and you were going to lose 3,500 for every W out of every WMMO, basically, that was going to go back to the treasury of uh, Wonderland. But strangely, at the same time, another Danielle project, Abracadabra Spell, launched at the same time on the same day the opportunity for anybody with WMemo to swap it for 100% of its value in their token Spell. And it would be locked up for the 3 days, 72 hours that the swap was available for that the swap was available for people to swap out. So essentially, they gave people two options at that point. Danielle either gave you the option of swapping WMMO for MIM, their stablecoin, and taking a 10% hit, or swapping for Spell for 100% of the value of that 38,000 and praying that everybody wasn't going to dump Spell after the 3-day lockup period and they got their Spell tokens. Right. So I personally went for the old 10% haircut because I'm not about to hope that people aren't going to dump Spell down 40% in a couple of days. So I took it that way. There are a lot of people that didn't realize in the Discord freaking out because they voted on the rage quit, but they didn't know they had to whitelist themselves. So they can't say. Danielle tried to spin this. I love this tweet, and of course I commented on it. Danielle, they called it patronym, the spell swap thing, was designed to incentivize Wonderland Fi rage quitters, rewarding them with a 10% bonus in spell if they decided to rage quit through Abracadabra, right? So instead of saying you can get your 10% tax back if you do it, he wanted to try to spin it as a bonus. So I just said, 10% bonus. Those rage quitting are being charged a 10% tax for not being loyal, even though they've already been screwed over by bad management. Those that chose to move to Spell won't be charged the tax, but will be worse if everyone dumps at the unlock in 3 days, right? So, look, I think this is two things. I think this is Danielle trying to get people engaged in his other project that's been dumping because all of his projects have been dumping. So he's trying to save that one by getting people engaged with it. And that's a revenue producing project. So it had promise at one point, but what he doesn't understand is that people have lost faith. They've lost trust in his management, his leadership. The other thing I think it is him just being spiteful. He's pissed at all the people that are going to dump WMMO in this swap, and he feels like they're traitors to his frog cause.
Cult.
And so he wants to do a bait and switch on him at the last minute. So anyway, I got my money. I'm out. I will not be discussing Wonderland anymore unless he just pulls another big fucking blunder, which would be fun to.
What's funny is I was looking at WMMO and I forgot what the name actually is. What the name of WMMO?
Wonderland Memories.
Nope. Wonderful memories. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's got a lot of wonderful memories here.
Oh yeah, we all have great memories.
Yeah, it's just like, and he thinks he's going to run and hide from this. No. I mean,
he tweeted the other day, there's an Avalanche community show in Spain or something next week. And he tweeted out, hey, who's going to be at Avalanche show, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, dude, you might as well just fucking paint a target on your forehead. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, this guy just needs to run and hide at this point. I don't see how anybody would do any of his projects.
It's nuts.
I'm sure there's a lot of people pissed off.
Hell yeah.
Looking for some payback. But what's interesting is I'm looking at WMMO price right now, and it's 27,763, and the rage quit price before the tax is 38,000.
Yeah, I mean it comes out to, I think you're at like 34,000 for after the tax.
But I'm surprised the whitelist must be locking people out. I'm just surprised that people aren't arbing that differential, but I guess you can't buy it and then rage quit at this point.
Well, see, nobody knew if he'd pull some shit. Now you can't, but we knew that this was going to be the way it was going to work, right? You were going to
Yeah.
get more than the current price over the last 2 weeks. But I didn't do that. I was tempted, but I didn't do it because I didn't know if he'd pull some stupid shit like the 10% tax, like say, okay, if you bought after such and such a date, you can't get on the whitelist, right?
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't take the chance because I don't know what the hell they're going to pull at any given time, as evidenced by the sudden surprise 10% tax. So
What is the volume on this today? Oh, 6.7 million. Is it the volume?
yeah, it's everybody trying to get in before it dumps the rest of the way.
Yeah. I think I still got
So
like, it's actually up 12.7% over 30 days. Um, huh.
well,
Well,
that
we'll
makes
see what
sense because
happens.
people
Yeah.
were trying to arb it,
And then they got tax fucked, basically.
Exactly. So there is a another little DeFi controversy going on.
Oh,
Um, and it's kind
always
of
fun.
it's kind of fucked up. I don't quite get it. I don't get why people are raging about this, but I actually DeFi Prime is a Telegram channel that I use to get a lot of news and
Hmm.
information, right? And this guy, so Gelato announced in Gelato created a product called G Uni, which is a tool for optimized trading on version 3 of Uniswap for liquidity managing, right? It's a tool to manage it, automate, because version 3 of Uniswap requires you to set a range, right? So it's a tool that allows you, using the Gelato automation tools, this is a separate built tool that allows you to automate your range, right? And say, if X happens, I want my range of liquidity providing to adjust this much, right? That kind of thing. And so that tool, GUni, has been exceedingly popular, like very, very popular. And a lot of people in the space were complaining that it's getting confused with the actual Gelato platform, which is a platform for automating all kinds of things in DeFi, for developers to automate things in DeFi. And so they had been complaining that, hey, you should spin this out as a separate project, have a separate team, etc. So they did. they they and I missed the call this morning. They were doing the Twitter Spaces this morning, but I'll catch up and see what was happening. But so they said, hey, we're gonna it's the proposal to spin out, release GUni as a separate DAO. They want to call it it's Arcadis or something like that.
Arrakis.
Arrakis. They want to
Yeah.
call it Arrakis. And it makes sense. It's like, don't have the team splitting their effort between the two things, right? Have a dedicated team to it. So they are they decided to put this up, and I assume that Gelato, the core team, has enough votes to pass it, right? It doesn't matter what the community really votes on because they probably still hold a biggest chunk of the token of gel, the token. But here's the distribution of the token is going to be called Spice for Arrakis. What is it? Acaris? Arrakis?
Spice.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So the
probably
token.
that's a Dune play, is what it sounds like. I just watched
Yeah,
that
yeah.
movie Dune, so I think it's one of
So
those groups.
so the way it works is everybody that has gel, if you lock your gel for 1 year, you'll get a proportional percentage of 15% of the spice that gets released. So all gel holders that lock for a year are going to split 15% of all spice tokens, right? So pretty that 15% doesn't sound like a lot, but that's fairly significant because most of the tokens aren't going to anybody. They're going to be used as a liquidity providing tool. So future LPs are getting 50% of it. The new team, not the Gelato team, the new team that will be dedicated to the project gets 22.5% of the tokens and they're vested 2 to 4 years. Existing gel holders get 15% of the tokens. 5% go to a community fund. People who are engaged with gel and some other projects will get 5% in an airdrop. And then existing GUni users are going to get 2.5% in an airdrop, right? Well, DeFi Prime was like outraged, did this long Twitter thread about how this is a rug pull and you're only giving us 15% of the tokens and you're forcing us to lock up our tokens for a year, et cetera, et cetera. And it was like, dude, what are you freaking out about? Like, he's like, we paid for the development of G-Uni and now you're taking it out and not giving us the value for it. Well, Hilmar from Gelato replied and said, well, first of all, a lot of our development was paid for with grants that we received. So it wasn't you guys investing in this. You were investing in Gel. You were investing in Gelato, the automation platform. You weren't investing in G-Uni. And secondarily, all we're asking people to do that are to be long-term investors, because we don't want people to buy Gel just before the distribution and then dump Gel and Spice after the distribution. So we're saying lock this up for a year. And the team, the Gelato team, are being what they would get from it as their because they're Gel holders, of the 15% that they would get, they're having their vesting period extended out the entire time frame from when they got it. So they're adding basically another year to their vesting period, right? So nobody's making out. Like, it's not like the Gelato team is like raking in the cash and running, right? And I didn't quite understand it. I thought Hilmar's responses were reasonable, and I actually think there's nothing in this that's unreasonable. I mean, maybe you want 20% to go to Gel holders that lock for a year, but at the end of the day, it makes sense that you want long-term investors to get a piece, not people who are going to just dump and go. Even people that have held for a while, Gelato for a few months, you still don't want them just taking the spice and dumping it. You want people who are going to be engaged and who are going to be part of the protocol. Anyway, there's a firestorm going off because of DeFi Prime being pissed off, but we'll see what happens. They had a Twitter Spaces this morning to talk about it. I'm hoping they recorded it so I can listen to it, because it's interesting. And you know me, I'm a big fan of this project. So
Yeah.
I think it has true amazing potential. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, everybody, what projects don't turn into big bitch fests whenever anybody does something else?
Exactly.
I can think of 6 off the top of my head right now that I've been involved in where everybody just starts bitching about everything, and it's easy to bitch when everything's down. But then, look, I think the way they did it makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know if you said this, but maybe offer up one more kind of way for existing investors to get in, where they have to actually invest more money.
That would
they
make
don't
sense.
need to get handouts, but get it at a discount. Some kind of, however long you held it in your wallet, get you some kind of multiplier on whatever the base number is, and give people access that way. Because usually what, in a Series A type round, there's usually, conversion preferences and things in there where if other things happen, you can get, stuff at a discount, but they don't just hand it to you. Because I think it's right. I think you need 2 management teams. I think because you have to align their incentives. You don't want everybody on core project Gel thinking, oh shit, I got to go work on Arrakis now, and then pulling them away from their core duties. You want a separate team there. And then if there's a way to kind of, align an ecosystem around it, that's great too. But I think that, I don't see anything wrong here with what Gelato did and everything I've seen. I mean, I think you introduced me to them actually when you did the interview of theirs, I think, or maybe it was the Roy interview where he talked about it. But and I've been in that once or at least twice, and I don't know what it's trading at now, but I think going from 20 cents to $1 was what I did in that, or $1.20 a couple of times. So, and I love their setup. The original model was a little, I think, complicated for people to understand, but to me, I thought it was really cool because you could take those tokens and use them in their. Oh, wait, I'm mixing them up with somebody else. Sorry. That part of the model. I'm thinking about the Geyser guys at that moment for a second. But I thought they were brilliant too, but they were doing something that was a little too tricky. Gelato, to me, I was in the Furacumbo side, an ETH kind of block building setup. But the gas fees were so high, they were getting, the flash loan arbing just couldn't work. It just couldn't get done. And Gelato was the one that I thought took that to another level, which was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah. I did hear that they took a big dump yesterday. You can see that on the chart on the screen. But I heard everybody was thinking that that's why they dumped yesterday because they announced this proposal. Well, it turned out that it coincided with the same day that the public IDO sale lockups ended. So
oh,
it's all the fair weather guys. I'm assuming they released that to get people to stay in, right? So not as many would dump after the public sale, but look, at the end of the day, that's going to happen. It did recover about half of it nicely though, so you got to expect that the guys who are just in it for the
yeah,
easy money are going to dump. Look, I think it's a reasonable, smart thing. Here's the way I look at it: if you're holding gel and you believe in what that platform is going to do, and you think it has value, and you think a lot of protocols are going to continue to use it like they do today, then unless you were planning to like sell yesterday because you've decided you're not into the protocol anymore, what what fucking difference does it make? You just got 15, you just got a chunk of value in a project that's generating revenue, that's popular, that's well liked, and you still have your gel tokens. You don't even have to swap out your gel tokens, right? So all they're asking you to do is to say, yeah, we believe in this protocol, we believe in the fundamentals of it. If you want the spice tokens, lock for a year. If you don't lock, keep your gel tokens and don't get the spice, and sell whenever you want to sell. I mean, it's just another kind of calculated gamble is all. You've just got to make a decision. Do you think gel's going to be worth something in a year, right? I I personally would say for me, I would think it is. I think it fits the fundamentals scenario that I believe in for DeFi. So anyway,
yeah. Well, two things. One, look, it's even with it's up 30% off the bottom, which was
yeah,
yesterday, 21 hours
yeah,
ago, but it's still off 88% from the high. So, to me, if you're not in it, this is where you start doing the 25% rule. And maybe if you have something and you start looking at, but one thing I would have liked to see, when these IDO shares unlocked, it would have been nice if there was some kind of a button right there where the wallet is or on the site where you could then roll those right into whatever this one's called, the Arrakis
spice.
one,
Yeah,
Spice. It's funny because Unistal had, I guess there's a bunch of Spice tokens out there now, but
probably.
uh, they're all playing on the Dune thing, but some way where it could roll right in. So,
Yeah,
when people are getting ready to sell, another thing pops up and says, oh, but wait, if you, convert it to this, then support the price or whatever in some way, shape, or form. But something to take off that drop
yeah,
of, that's the thing I remember, in equities, whenever the 6-month lockups would end for, IPO shares, if you got into the friends and family rounds, that would always be a brutal day
of
and everybody
course.
plans for it. So people would dump the day before to just buy back the next day, because when that volume hits, that everybody who was a founder but isn't rich is going to sell at that
Yeah, of
point.
course, of
You
course.
know,
Well, and
having
here's the
not sold
here's
before.
here's the problem as well, right? We still don't have a communication mechanism between projects and holders, right? We don't have, um, the team at what was that team? Somebody released a chat app that was connected to wallets and log in via wallet, but something as simple as just, hey, let's have a communication mechanism that if you have gel tokens in your wallet, the team at Gelato can send you announcements about what's going on. And then with your idea of saying, hey, here's a button to convert or to, turn this into more, or some way to incentivize the people that already are holding to not sell on that day, right? Some special offering that they start announcing the week before so that that big giant hit doesn't happen, but we don't have a mechanism yet for people to communicate. And I think that's problematic. I think it's an incredible opportunity in the space because, and I know there are messaging protocols being worked on to do that. None have gotten any uptake yet, though. But I think they're trying to make it too complex. But I really believe that when that happens, that also gives a leg up over the way that the stock market performs. Right now, stock market ownership is very passive. People don't participate in voting. They don't participate in governance in any way that's available to them as a shareholder in a stock. if we had a communication mechanism that really allowed people who are holding coins to find out what's going on, be aware of the opportunities, see new staking opportunities, et cetera, then you would have a much more powerful market than what we have in the stock market, because you would probably have more engagement. You'll still have people that don't participate, but you could at least have the opportunity to engage more people and let them know what's going on and prevent things like that big dump.
Yeah. Well, what about we talked about this, I think, when your buddy's wallet got hacked of all the Olympus, but what about an NFT? That
Yeah,
was an announcement, like just a play. I mean, I'm sure you could do more sophisticated stuff within it, of course, but I mean, just a
yeah,
sort of like a note NFT that just says, hey, it's a QR code or it's a link somewhere. You know, this is what's coming up. You might want to, go here and see what your options are before you just sell into the market. Like they
yeah,
might have a treasury buyback with some bonus on it. They might have
yeah.
a new play where you roll into that with some kind of a, pref on it as far as in the new tokens. But anything like that, I just was thinking though, how do you, unless you're on OpenSea, you don't really see those. I mean, because that's the only time I see the NFTs that people just send me is,
Right.
on OpenSea. So how would you get that to show up display
Yeah, I
on
think it'd
top
be
of a
tough. Yeah, I think it's got to be something like a browser extension and or something that goes into the wallet or some other interface to your trading mechanisms. And I think that's what Chuck is joking around about here with this comment, just not publicly released yet. So I think there
huh.
may be an opportunity there for what we're talking about. Um, so yeah, but look, I think look, we're evolving, we're growing. The tech is getting better, so I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to see um, see these things start to happen more. But I think those are the kinds of things that can be prevented. I wanted to latch onto what you were saying there because that made sense.
Yeah, but
Speaking of
also I think it
wallets,
gets to that KYC issue too. If everybody's
yeah, of
KYC'd, it's
course,
easy to message. But
yeah.
if
So
you're
speaking
not,
of wallets,
yeah. Ooh, here we
oh yeah,
go.
if it's KYC'd, yeah. But even without KYC'd, you could still message through the wallet. So um,
Yeah, it's true.
speaking of KYC, MetaMask and OpenSea prepare to block customers from certain countries. So, and I'm assuming that's Iran, Russia,
North Korea.
um, North Korea, etc. So, I mean, it was inevitable that this would start to happen eventually with these more centralized offerings, that they would start to block the countries they're not allowed to do business with, right? Technically, MetaMask, US based company, I'm assuming. Consensus is US based, Joe? Do you know?
I
Or
after
are they
that
an
stuff we were
island?
talking about, well, we started talking about that a few weeks ago with all the Swiss activity. Remember there
Yeah,
was the issue with them moving that thing to JP Morgan via the Swiss
yeah.
holding entity. So I'm not sure. I know they have operations in New York City. And I'm
Either way, I
pretty
guess they have to block these. On they, the U.S.
yeah.
enforces this against every country. Um, so the idea is that they're going to start blocking IPs from those countries. They don't have OpenSea has some identifiable information on people that register and give them the information like their name or email or whatever, but MetaMask doesn't have a registration like that. And so here's the interesting thing. I just read that MetaMask is doing about 10 million a day in trades and swaps in the wallet. Um, what happens when their attorneys say, yeah, not only do we have to block these countries based on IP, but now we're going to have to start identifying and KYCing people swapping in the browser, right? Because they are profiting in transaction fees from those swaps that are being done, whether it's over 0x protocol or whatever. At some point, being an entity that is centralized and under the governance of whatever country they're based in, um, I think this is going to end up happening to a lot of protocols. And so I think it makes it get really interesting. Um, and I think in a shorter time frame than a longer time frame, that products like MetaMask and OpenSea I believe is US based, are going
Yeah.
to have to start not only blocking but also KYCing all users. Um, the decentralized offerings like Tally, that's going to be a really big opportunity. Even probably Gnosis, right? Because if you have a truly decentralized project that is a wallet, like a smart contract wallet, like like tally, then that's not something you can even like enforce, I don't think. So, or even track. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens to market share for OpenSea and MetaMask if KYC comes on board. We'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see. I'm just trying to see if the country list is up more. The stuff I'm seeing, and this, I don't see anything after March 3rd or 4th, but it's, like you said, Iran, North Korea, Syria, Crimea, and the Donetsk and Luhansk. I don't see,
Iran, did you say
no, I don't
Iran?
see Iran. Yeah, I don't see Russia or, I'm wondering if this is the new list that you have in your article, if there's a list of names there.
No, it's the
But
same.
yeah,
Anyway, interesting.
yeah, of course, there's all kinds of articles up about how to get around it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
of course.
which, there's plenty of, we've talked about this stuff before that's just Google internet privacy. And
Right.
I'm sure you'll get a whole bunch of suggestions there.
Yep.
Um, Now, I know a lot of those same countries, they use a lot of Telegram and Signal and stuff like that because, they don't want to have their communications monitored. So anyone doing that is going to be savvy enough to figure out a workaround.
Yeah.
To geofencing, that just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
If you know
Absolutely.
one 3-letter thing.
Yeah. Quick shout out to our attorney Yev Muchnik, who is by birth Ukrainian, who has been
Good for her.
yeah, she's been raising money, crypto for Ukrainian relief and military. She's just a driven woman. She's been helping the governor in Colorado with the legislation for crypto tax payments and the new cooperative legal, legislation. And of course, she's helping a lot of projects set up DAOs as cooperatives. She's just become a real leader in the DeFi space, and really proud of her. If you need a good attorney, I highly recommending reaching out to Yev. Her DMs are open on Twitter. But anyway, congratulations to her. Proud of her for doing that. I'm sure for her, it's been something of a personal crusade because she's Ukrainian. So, but just glad to see her doing that. It's awesome. Let me see, Joe. I think. Oh, this is big news. Shit, because we didn't have a show yesterday. The EU voted yesterday not to ban proof of work mining tokens. So that was good, but we were all kind of caught by surprise, I think, to find out there was actually a vote happening. I heard about it on Sunday evening, and they were essentially voting that I don't know if the vote was to ban mining in the EU or if it was to ban currencies that were produced by mining, but the vote failed. It was like 34 to 24. So evidently enough lobbying happened to keep them from banning essentially Bitcoin and Ethereum in the EU in whatever form it would have ended up being. So was definitely relieved to see that yesterday. I don't think we need another hit right now.
Yeah, and that's all related to the environmental stuff about proof of work mining. And so that's what that most of that vote was driven from the environmentalist
Yeah,
perspective,
yeah.
um, which I thought was kind of interesting because I don't know if go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say Klima was up or has been up the last couple of days because of their new project Klima Infinity, and there was some. I'm just
What
going to
is
go ahead and
that?
call
I
it.
don't know anything about that.
Well, this is some inside alpha here that I wish someone shared with me. Is
Ooh.
that okay? Klima Infinity. It's like an enterprise facing things for companies that want to offset carbon emissions, through carbon credits, and they'll use the Klima Infinity um, app or whatever to do it. But the inside stuff I heard chatter, water cooler chatter, is that Polygon is a confirmed participant in the first piece of this, which is um, Klima Infinity, full service for estimating and automating the offsetting of carbon emissions. But then the second piece is that I think Polygon News is public, but this came from another developer working on the team, is that they're engaged with Uniswap now to offset emissions onto ETH mainnet. So this person who is sharing this with me was told directly by a developer working with Uniswap that apparently they're going to offset their emissions with Klima, including 25% of their Ethereum emissions. And then somebody like Jaden Smith, I guess that's Will Smith's kid, is going to shill it. So it looks like there's going to be some good move on Klima. I mean, it's up 13% today at $13.
Damn.
They always had a thing to do. They always had a future vision. Unfortunately, they got gashed like everybody else that was doing rebasing.
Sure.
But at least now we'll see something come out of it for real. So this is, if you're not in Klima, this might be something to look at right now.
That's awesome. I'm going to definitely take another look. That's great news.
Considering, with Uniswap, if all the Ethereum swapping engines jump in here to kind of neuter that environmental argument, and then probably I would guess that the anybody, I would say the BTC miners would be great customers for Klima Infinity. Anybody that's doing anything that is getting hammered right now for whether it's legit or not, environmentally, this could be something that's going to really take off.
That's fantastic.
But that's inside alpha that somebody's sharing. I don't know the people there, so I'm just passing it on.
Well, that's great news. Well, the last thing I have is I would call Craig Wright the piece of shit of the day, but he's the piece of shit of every day. So he's now trying the angle of suing exchanges over listing Bitcoin. Just the pure desperation cracks me the fuck up with this guy, that he's so desperate to prove that he wasn't lying when he was lying and has been lying and hasn't been able to prove he is Satoshi Nakamoto, is just pitiful. But the other thing is that makes it incredibly obvious that he's not Satoshi Nakamoto is that he would take actions like this, right? His entire need to egotistically try to take down the real Bitcoin and boost his fake Bitcoin is everything you need to know about the fact that he's not really Satoshi Nakamoto. He's a total fucking fraud. So it's just incredible. The guy he never stops. He can't let go. He's been called a liar by so many judges and has been proven to be lying over and over and over again in court appearances. I don't understand why he hasn't been charged with perjury yet, because it has been noted on the record how many times he's lied in court. But it is what it is. The drum beats on. He's paying enough for attorneys, I guess, to be able to do it. But it's just incredible that he just can't move on. Because, I know why he can't move on, because everything else he's done is a failure.
Yeah, it sounds like he's getting primed up to run for governor of Florida. He's got the proper credentials for it, and after that, the White House, right? Just another full of shit liar. My question is, did remember that lost the legal activity that was sort of resolved a couple of months ago between he and his ex-partner, the one who ended up dead? Did he ever get access to the BTC and that hard drive? I mean, did Craig Wright ever get it?
I don't think anybody has access to it yet, but I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't say I do know that the 100 million judgment became 140 million last week. There was another judgment placed on that, and I don't know how that was done, but there was another 40 million awarded to the company or the family. And I think it was to the company, and then the family owns 50% of that, I guess. But
of the dead guy.
Yes.
Or of his. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just wondering because it seems like he's hurting for money, obviously, if he's starting to sue people again. I thought he had kind of gotten cashed up from that, but I guess he didn't really see any real, he didn't get access to any BTC that he could sell for cash.
I don't think so.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
He's promising this will be the biggest legal case in human history.
The bigliest? The bigliest.
The biggest. It's like, dude, just because you put some stupid fucking number in it, like $1 trillion, doesn't make it a real legal case.
No.
You know that's what he means. He's going to sue all of Bitcoin for $1 trillion to try to shut it down. It's just,
Well, I think we saw how that kind of stupid shit plays out.
yeah.
We've just had a full case study of it over the last couple of years. And plus he doesn't really know who he's going against in this. So, the hedgies and stuff that are invested in Coinbase, everybody, the big money that's invested in Bitcoin right now. I mean, those are some scary ass fucking organizations. And you start threatening them, they'll just keep coming
Please.
after you
Yeah,
until you're done, basically.
exactly.
They'll drain him of every cent he has. They'll ruin his life, whatever isn't ruined already. And they'll just keep coming and coming for him, within the appropriate realm of legality. But those Russian investors don't always play that way either.
I mean, all you have to do is read his shit to know he's full of it. Just remember, I am only just beginning. If you think anyone who opposes me and my original protocol survives this, that any company that claims BTC as Bitcoin does not going down in flames at 2022 will be the harvest year. My scythe is sharp. When this goes to court, it will cost them their existence. Let them know they have a choice. Let them know that the window of opportunity is about to close. Let them know that the noose is already about their neck.
Oh, great. A lynching metaphor. All right.
Who
Who
fucking writes like that? Just what a fucking douchebag. There is a way out for Coinbase if they negotiate a license, list Bitcoin, a license for fucking Bitcoin, a license. Yeah. List Bitcoin, BSV, they get to exist. If not, we obliterate them. Material event, why? The suit against Coinbase will exceed the market value at the all-time high. That's all directors and officers and still not be paid. Bless you. He's just so full of shit. Anyway, wanted everybody to have one good laugh. That's all I got today, Joe.
Yeah, the only other thing I saw was that the crypto.com is now opening up the exchange to U.S. participants. I guess you have to be whitelisted. There's probably, KYC and all of that is my guess, but it looks like Americans are going to start being able to trade on it.
Wow.
Or at least non-VPN Americans.
Right.
So that was kind of interesting. The other thing was, no, that's not it. I did find a nice article about 80% of the funds locked in DeFi are kept on 5 chains and in 21 different protocols. So we'll talk about this one tomorrow. But, the big chains holding the most DeFi and TVL, Ethereum, Terra, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, and Solana. And then the protocols, let's see what we're talking about here. Well, they have a whole bunch of different, I'll have to get a list of those. But interesting article just to see, where all the money is. And then I had that EU article too on the wacky legislation that didn't go through. But, look, I don't know. We got FOMC meeting. Does that come out today, actually, or is that tomorrow, the announcement?
What?
The FOMC, the interest rate decision. Is that today
I don't know.
or tomorrow? Okay, hold on. Interest rate decision. I think it's the 15th, which is today. That's 2 days ago. Let's see what we got. 12 hours ago. Here's the calendars. All right. 2022. March 15th. So it must be tomorrow. Yeah, 15th and 16th. So we'll get that. Everybody's. Yeah. So everybody's thinking, I was thinking it was Wednesday. And so that makes sense. Tomorrow being the 16th. Everybody's expecting a 1/4 point to a 1/2 point. I don't think either one makes anything move. I think maybe a quarter point might juice it a little bit, but
Right.
I kind of am expecting more of a quarter point this time just to see what happens. And everybody talking about it driving into recession. I mean, that's what you do. You know,
Right.
if inflation is high, you drive it into recession. I think the interesting thing is that being at full employment right now, pretty much, the job market booming, and actually wages are going up across the board.
Yeah.
That you might see a half point hike tomorrow just because I think everybody feels like it can take it. And it then signals to everyone that, you're serious and that whoever hasn't
Yeah.
taken all the hints over the last couple of months starts, reallocating their portfolios. But I don't expect either way for it to be anything that destroys markets, which then destroys crypto. I think it's going to be a non-event in a lot of ways, is my read. But we'll have that tomorrow, I think. But I think that usually comes out before the show.
Oh,
But
good.
that's the only thing I see out there right now. Everything else looks pretty stable.
Okay.
I mean, as it's been looking the last, couple of months, basically. Um, but I am kind of curious to see how this does get absorbed, particularly with, I mean, I kind of feel like inflation is a little good right now just to winnow down that debt. But,
Yeah.
then people take it in the shorts. Every time, like I said before, every time you go in the store, it seems like stuff is more expensive.
Yep.
Um, but, buy the shit on sale. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, my fancy Whole Foods, hanging out with the elites. But I'm always looking for buying. My daughter gives me shit for buying the 365 brands. And I'm like, it's still organic. Who cares, man?
Yeah.
It's not like it's
Exactly.
bad. Just buy it. Um,
Exactly.
but if you got a Prime membership, you go in there. It's really not that expensive,
Yeah.
and just stock up with the stuff that's on sale, and stay out of the hot food bar and the sushi bar and that kind of stuff. But that's coming up tomorrow. We'll see what happens, and I think that's it for me too.
All right, man. Thank you,
All right.
everybody, for watching, listening, partaking. We love you guys. Please, if you get a chance, if you like what we're doing, rate, review us on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe, rate, and review on with the little bell clicked on YouTube. We appreciate all of you being here, and always feel free to reach out with your comments, thoughts, feedback, or ideas. B05 Crypto on Twitter. You can also leave feedback and comments at missiondefi.com. Thank you very much, folks. I hope everyone has a great afternoon. Joe, talk to you tomorrow.
All right, buddy.